Nam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarasto Andhakaro Vai Rukarasto Nivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let's continue with our discussion about the necessity and the usefulness. Necessity is a stronger word than usefulness. Necessity of Nididhyasanam. Here also in the book on Aparoksha Anubhuti, Swami Akhandananda ji says, Nididhyasan ki avashyakata. Avashya means necessary. So avashyakata means necessity. So it's imperative in our life. Ultimately, everyone, no matter what, where you are and so on, in your evolution, the so-called evolution. The evolution means there's no real evolution. We are already free, but in the evolution to understand that I am free, in that stage, everybody has to do Nididhyasana. So whether it is in this life or next life or after 10 lives, we don't know. It all depends on us. But this is a kind of it's kind of like a final door, if you may. So there are lots of different doors that you have to pass through, but unless you pass through this door, you cannot have the darshanam of Ishvara. It's kind of like in a temple, when you have the main deity of the temple enclosed in a very sacred place, and so you have to go through a lot of different doors and so on, but finally there is a door that leads to the inner sanctum sanctorum, and so that door has to be, you have to say, have you gone through that yet? They'll say, not yet. Okay, fine, it'll come, just go around. So this is the necessity for Nididhyasanam. So in this Nididhyasanam, excuse me, we need to understand what does this door mean. So this is an important concept to keep in mind, that what does really Nididhyasanam mean? How does it really make me go to the final goal? So we have been going through that. So here we are doing what is called drishti sthiti. So drishti sthiti means, what is it that I should focus on? So many of the other steps, the padas that we have seen so far, 6 or 7 of them, I don't remember exactly how many we have done, but were all, the condition, the time, the place, the situation, the asana, all of that was being talked about. All of them are important. But here, in this particular case, okay, fine, I'm now ready to do meditation. What should I meditate on? In fact, this is exactly the difference between the yogic meditation and the Vedantic meditation, the Nididhyasana. So this is a fundamental thing that should be kept in mind. It's not just here, it is throughout the whole teaching, but we have to clarify exactly what the differences are. So what yoga teaches is that it is very possible for you to eliminate the disturbances of the world, eliminate the thoughts, because the world appears to us through our thoughts. You see, that's the thing. Everything is through our own mind. Whether they are appearances through indriyas, through sense organs, which is what happens in the waking state, or through by itself, without the indriyas, as it happens in the dream state. But really speaking, your ideas and your, what's the word I'm looking for? Just your vyavahara, your engagement. That's the word I was looking for, sorry. The engagement with the world comes through the mind, through thoughts. And so yoga teaches how can you diminish and then eliminate your thoughts systematically so that the world does not bother you. This is the yogic, the Ashtanga Yoga, and does a very good job of that, really speaking, one step at a time, yama, niyama, asana, etc., to a point where in the samadhi you see that I am now free of the thoughts and therefore free of the world bothering me. Beautiful, very nice. Okay? So in that sense, your drishti sthiti in the yoga is based on some kind of an ekagrata, a single pointedness of the mind on a single object, so that all the rest of the thoughts are eliminated. And so here, nasagra means that if you want, you can just, supposing you have a flame, you can really do these drishti sthiti on any object. You can do it on a flame, you can do it even on a table or something like this. But they say that because human beings hopefully all have a nose, and so what you do is you focus your eyes on the tip of the nose. It's really difficult to do. You can't even see it very well. But if you just keep focusing on it, then you can just see the tip of the nose. And the idea here is nothing peculiar about the nose, but it's just that that's already a vastu which you have. It is with you all the time. And this is what you focus on by eliminating all the thoughts. So this is the yogic meditation. So here now we go from that point on to the Vedantic meditation. What should you focus on? So this is given in verse number 116 of Aparoksha Anubhuti. It says, Drishtim Jnanamayim Kritva Pashyet Brahmamayam Jagat Sa Drishtihi Parama Udara Na Nasa Agra Avalokini. So na Nasa Agra Avalokini, not in front of the nose. That Avalokana means that focus, that absorption, which is done on the Nasa Agra. Nasa Agra. Agre means in the front. Nasa Agre means the front of the nose. So this is Avalokini, means the focus on. He says this is not what Vedantic meditation is. And why not? And what is the advantage of doing the Vedantic meditation? This is a very important thing. A very, very key thing that we should generally be very sensitive to. This particular discussion at this point of our discussion with the Nididhyasanam is good, but this is a very encompassing concept. And that's one of the things that I have really learned a lot from reading Swami Akhandananda ji's books. So as I've mentioned it to you many times, that our clarity depends a lot on filling the gaps in our understanding. So these are like pieces of the puzzle. So let me just explain that for a minute. So if you're building a puzzle, and suppose you have these wooden pieces or whatever the material is of making it, and you can see the shapes going through and say, okay, this one fits here. Okay, you did it. Then this one fits here, and pretty soon the picture starts to emerge. But still you don't have a complete idea of what the picture is showing. But the more jigsaw pieces you put in, the better idea you have of what the general thing is. Then when enough pieces are fitting in, you now have a new idea of what the picture means. Now you can describe it. This is a picture where a young girl is leading a horse through her barn, to her barn. There's a picture of the barn, there's a picture of the horse, and there's the young girl who is holding the reins of the horse, and this is what her garden is. What a beautiful picture. Now you have what is called Aparoksha Sakshat Karanam. So we should understand all these very technical words. What does it mean? Aparoksha Sakshat Karanam means that you now have a very complete and a clear picture of what this photograph is by putting all of these pieces. Very similarly too is the case that if we want to gain a very clear, unambiguous picture of who we are, who I am. I have to eliminate doubts about myself. So it's not as though I don't know myself. Of course I know myself. But that knowledge is tinged with non-clarity, with doubts. You know, our acharyas say this is an important concept to see, that if you have, you see, anytime you have a clear picture of something, you can reconcile the differences that seem to occur about it, and those differences are removed, and you see a clear idea of what the thing is. This is what, so if there are differences, I've given you this example before, that supposing you are looking at the carpet, which I'm looking at directly, and then I'm clear that this is a carpet because it doesn't seem to change. It doesn't seem to change. It is not water at one time or steam at another time. It is a solid piece of cloth which appears as a carpet. Now, you look at yourself. Do you have the same clarity about yourself? Just be honest and ask yourself. You know, and the casual answer would be, yes, of course I know myself. I know myself because I know what my name is, I know what my age is, I know what my parents are, and I know what my knowledge is. Of course I know myself. Really? Is that you know yourself completely? Yeah, I know. Yeah, what else do I need to know? I know that I'm aging. You can just say that. You are not asking yourself the clear questions. Why do you suddenly become happy? Why do you suddenly become unhappy? You are yourself during 12 hours a day, 14, 18 hours a day. What about night time when you have a different picture about yourself? Where were you before you were born? Where will you be after this body gives away? None of those questions I'm able to answer. I just sort of accept the transitory knowledge about myself and I say this is what I am. But really, if you look at it, there's so much that I need to explain that I am not. Because you can say, that I don't know. Where were you before you were born? That I don't know. Okay, write down all the things that you don't know. Okay, why are you, do you always have good things about yourself? Yes. And how come you get into problems? That I don't know. Are you a reasonably happy person? Yes, I'm a reasonably. How come you become jealous and unhappy at times? I don't know. So the knowledge about yourself is not clear yet. You know, so for example, if I'm looking at the carpet and there is some, all of a sudden there is a paint on it. Somebody dropped some paint or something, even some color or something like this. You can accept the fact that it is no longer looking like what it used to. Because you say there is a covering on it and you remove the covering, if you somehow remove the paint, the carpet will be exactly what it is. So even if there are changes, but you can explain what the changes are due to, you don't have any problems in understanding what the vastu is. But in our own case, we don't have such clarity. We don't know when I will be happy, when I will be unhappy, how people bother me, what I accept, what I don't accept, what my past used to be, how is it going to affect the future, where am I going? None of those things are very clear to me. So really speaking, the study of Vedanta is to clarify through putting the jigsaw pieces together. So the more you examine with the help of the Shastra says, do you really want to know what's happening to you? You know who you are? You say, yes. You should first accept the fact, as we were just discussing, that you don't know yourself. You are tinged with ajnanam. Because if you just continue to believe that it is all jnanam, you know exactly what you are and so on, then you won't seek any help. But if you are aware of the fact that there are a lot of gaps in your knowledge, and you now legitimately seek some help in filling those gaps, then I can help you. Are you listening to me? So we say, okay, I'm listening. Shastra says, okay. Let me tell you how is it that you don't have a very clear picture, and let me tell you how you get there. So the whole teaching mechanism is for us to fill in the gaps about myself. Okay? And the filling the gaps, putting the jigsaw pieces together, all depends on my eligibility, my sense of where I am, my progress towards my ability. So for instance, you cannot give a 100-piece puzzle to a 2-year-old. He'll say, what? There's all these pieces and so on. It won't even get started. So as you've seen, there are wooden pieces of maybe 6 pieces. 6 pieces. And those also are very nicely shaped. So one of them is a circle, and so there is a gap of a circle, and there is a circular piece. So the 2-year-old can figure out, oh, this one, because it's a circle, it goes there. There also a person has some difficulty. I was just looking at my granddaughter, the youngest one, and she was trying to put something into a hole, and she kept putting it in, but it would not go in. It was the shape of a rectangle. So all she had to do was to rotate it by 90 degrees, then it will go in. She was not able to do that. She was getting frustrated. I was just watching her. And she has to learn. And finally she did it. She was rotating it and it went in. So simple jigsaw puzzles are okay for a child, but not very difficult jigsaw puzzles. No. So the eligibility is very important. So this is what I am also finding about myself, that as I study Vedanta and I'm committed to doing it, I'm really committed to doing it not because I'm teaching you, that is just on the side, but I'm committed to doing it because I still have not yet completely understood who I am. And I am getting there. I'm very enthused about it, but I'm not there yet. And so as I study and I improve my ability to understand through my attitudes, through the ragadveshas, and making my mind more pure, and not really be figuring about being able to distinguish between what is trivial and what is important. All of those things as I do, I find that when I keep on studying, then new pieces of puzzles are helping me to to clarify the doubt side that I have about myself. And so I find that Swami Akhandananda Ji's ideas, and it's not as though only one guru. I mean, I've had so many people who have really helped me in my life, as you know very well. Swami Chinmayanand Ji, Swami Dayanand Ji, and some of his, Swami Tattva Vidananda, Swami Viditatmananda. So they all say some things that slowly become a little bit more relevant to putting the pieces together. And then I think I discovered Swami Maheshanand Ji, which is a great advantage to me to see all the pieces. And now I'm discovering Swami Akhandananda Ji's pieces, the advice about the various pieces. So let me come back to it, and in the very short term, that's all I will do for the time being. And I will go back to Drishti Sthiti in more detail as we progress. But here is an important concept which the way Swami Akhandananda Ji proposes made a deep impression on me. It really clarified the pieces of the puzzle to a large degree, and I'm seeing that's happening more and more for me. Which is this. This is an important thing. I'm just going to communicate from my standpoint. Okay. And this is what this verse number 116 is saying. So the verse number 116, let me just give you the meaning of, I have less than 5 minutes. I don't know if I can do this. I'll just mention it, I think, before the class finishes, so that at least you have a reference point, and I'll explain it in more detail. So verse number 116 says, Drishtim jnanamayim kritva pashyet brahmamayam jagat sa drishtihi parama udara. The drishti means the very act of seeing something. It's called drishti. Right? So dra is the dhatu, and from there all these Sanskrit terms are made. Drishya. Drishya means worth seeing. One which is fit for seeing is called drishya. One which is seen. Drik means the seer. Drashta. Drik means the chitvastu, which is behind the drashta. Drashta means the seer. Drishti means the act of seeing. So here drishti means the whole thing called seeing. Just like you say, seeing is all about this. Hearing is all about this. So seeing is, what is it all about? It's called drishti. So he says, sa drishti parama udara. Udara means the one which is superior, one which is paramarthika, one which is the end, one which is the best. It's called udara. Parama udara means the best. Udara means you can say better. Parama udara means the best. Means this is what it would take. This kind of a drishti is what it would take. So this is what he is explaining. He says, nasa agra avalokini, not just looking at your nose. That is not the parama udara. That may be udara, That may be a good intermediate point for you to get to that point, but it is not the Parama Udara. Then what is the Parama Udara? So I will just give you, in the short term, just a one-page enunciation by Swami Shankarananda in Hindi, and then I will translate it in English without explaining it, because I'm running out of time. We'll have to do that next time. So he says, Swami Shankarananda says in Hindi, Jnanamayi drishti parama udara drishti hai. It will be already obvious that Jnanamayi drishti means the knowledgeable drishti, one which consists of knowledge, not the physical drishti, not the physical seeing, but knowledgeable seeing is the Parama Udara. Is drishti ko drishyamayi na kare. Don't make this into what is seen. दृष्टि जहां जाती है उस दृश्य को प्रधानता न रहने दे, जहां से दृष्टि निकलती है उसे प्रधान बनावे, तब यह स्थिति प्राप्त होगी. So what it means is that the Vedantic drishti, this is a very meaningful new concept that Swami Akhandananda has really provided me, and that is this: in whatever you are looking, instead of being absorbed in what you are looking at, be absorbed in what is making you look at. What is the person behind this drishti? By which are you seeing the drishti? Not what you are seeing, by which you are seeing. This was very, very helpful to me, and I cannot. This is a tease. I'm teasing you by just giving you this at the very last minute and then leaving it there. This requires a lot of explanation, and in fact, when we study, this is not a casual thing only occurring in verse number 116. This is a fundamental part of Swami Akhandananda ji's teaching, and I found it extremely useful as a new piece of a puzzle that might have been missing in my life. And that is, reorient your thinking. You see, it is not just a question of this is drik, this is drishya, and then you say, okay, I know this is sakshi, this is sakshya, okay, next, let's go to the next one. How do you see? What is the utility? What does it mean to you? This is the revelation from Swamiji, and this really occurs in all of his teachings as a very fundamental part of our life. So we will have to go through that in more detail. So I'm just mentioning it because it happens to come in this particular verse. So I apologize for just giving you just the overall picture without really explaining it, but we will continue to do that from next time on. Okay. So now let's switch over to Bhagavad Gita. Parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata narayanena swayam vyasena gratitam purana munina madhye mahabharatam advaitamritavarshinim bhagavatim ashtadashadhyayinim ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita bhavatveshinim yam brahma varunendra rudramarutaha stunvanti divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadai Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatkatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha. So in the last class we had finished verse number 820. So let's just chant 3 verses today, number 19, 20 and 21. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanyatina nayam hantina hanyate na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire veda vinashinam nityam yaenam ajamavyayam katham sapurushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam. So that's number 21. So what we had done in the last class, we had finished the Shankarananda ji's bhashya on verse number 20. So in introducing verse number 21, he gives a small introduction, an important one, really. All these sangati, this connection between one verse to the next one is very, very revealing if you really look into it. They're not only the main verse, but how did the main verse come about? What is the connection between the previous one and this one is very important. And I think we need to sensitize ourselves for understanding that. So even the introduction becomes very important. So here, I'll read the Sanskritam and then I'll explain it. So this is given on page 65, right after the commentary on verse number 20. It says, Evam atmanaha ahamarthasya nirvikaratvam nityakutastha asanga chidrupata tad etat paramarthikam tattvamiti pratipadya idrisham atmatattvam viditavataha vidushaha sarvakarma sanyasaha eva adhikaraha na anyatra iti suchayitum aha Veda. One more time in Sanskrit. I know many of you are attempting to understand, you are trying to understand Sanskritam. You're taking Kumudji's classes. So I'm very happy about that. So I will make sure that you are following this Sandhi Vicheda, which is a practice that you have to slowly do. It will come to you. He says again, Evam atmanaha ahamarthasya nirvikaratvam nityakutastha asanga chidrupata tad etat paramarthikam tattvamiti pratipadya idrisham atmatattvam viditavataha vidushaha sarvakarma sanyasaha eva adhikaraha na anyatra iti suchayitum aha Veda iti. So he says, all right, what verse number 20 has done, he says, pratipadya. Pratipadya means having taught this. Pratipadanam. It means that one which explains, which goes into the nature of it with some detail, is called pratipadanam. So pratipadya means having done so. What have you done? Atmanaha ahamarthasya. Ahamarthasya means when you say I. What is the meaning of the word I? Here the word and the letter is all one I. What is the meaning of it? This is called ahamartha. So atmanaha, which is ahamarthasya. Ahamartha means I. The I's having the status of nirvikaratvam. Nirvikaratvam means that there is no change. We went through this Shadvikara Rahitaha, right? Jayate, Asti, etc. we saw. So this is explaining the fact that the Atma has none of those 6 changes that the human body, all bodies for that matter, but since we are discussing humans, human bodies has to go through, which is our direct experience. Okay? But the Atma doesn't go through any of that. This is what the meaning of the word I is. Evam atmanaha ahamarthasya nirvikaratvam. Not only that, nitya kutastha. This nitya kutastha also is a very interesting and very important concept. So, it is really absolutely a key concept to kutastha. Kutastha means the one which is the anvil, A-N-V-I-L, anvil, on which changes take place. This is called kutastha. So kutanam means when you are pounding, and stha means very firm. So you cannot make things into shape. You cannot shape things until there is a background on which the changes are taking place. So in a way, in some ways, this is a very fundamental difference between Vedanta and Buddhism. Very fundamental. Because, you see, the interesting thing is that Buddhism also borrows the concepts of the mithyatvam of the world. Whether they borrowed it or they came up on their own, that's beside the point. But they also say that the Jagat is mithya. We also say that Jagat is mithya. Mithya means that there is no substance to it, it just has an appearance to it. Agreed. We both agree on that. But then the differences become vast. Up to that point they were the same. It's kind of like, a circle. When you have a point, they all look the same. But if you just separate the circle, one goes this way, one goes that way. Then how? Buddhism says there is no basis for it. Mithyatam, if you keep on thinking, you meditating, you go to vipassanas and so on and so forth. So you take the meditation and then nothing is remained. And that is what Nirvanam, they instead of moksha, they call it in Nirvanam. That's what Nirvanam is. That is what moksha is. We are going in the opposite direction. Totally opposite to that. The data remaining the same, the conclusion is totally different. How? Nitya kutastha. The nitya kutastha means that when the mithyatvam is removed, what is remaining? You cannot have mithyatvam until you have a kutastha. So in the vision of a snake on a rope, when the snakiness is removed, what is left? You cannot have a vision of snake in Akasha. If you have made, you see, this is the word mistake. So when you say mistake, you miss the take. You remove the miss and the take remains. So you remove the wrong notion of a snake, but then the adhara from which the mithya came up remains. So similarly here almost this is also true, that we say that all these specific ornaments, etc., yeah, they are mithya. Because vacharambanam namadheyam, they are only for name. So some ring or some kundalam or some kind of an ornament name is there, and they're useful. But there's no reality to it, because the reality belongs to the gold. The gold is the kutastha. Anyway, I just because I think that in this treatment of Shankarananda Ji's Gita, there is not a lot of Shravanam. This is all Mananam, meaning that he understands that you should have already seen the Shravanam. So he is also explaining the very details of it. But it is nice to go back to some of the basic principles on which the Mananam is given. So here, that's why I just took a side effect to side trip, not side effect, side trip to Nitya Kutastha. Anyway, going back to what we were saying, he says, having already taught the fact that Atma is Nirvikaraha, Nitya Kutastha, Asangaha, has no connection. There is no connection between the rope and the snake. No connection. If there is a connection, it's called Adhyasika Sambandha. Means that it is a connection due to adhyasa. It's some mistaken connection. So you can say, what is the connection between a rope and a snake? How are they connected? How could I do that? Adhyasika Sambandha. This is what has to happen if you want to really know what we are going to end up doing. You have to see that my taking of the world around me, which is called Jagat, which is really called Samsara. See, there's a difference between Jagat and Samsara. We have already talked about this, so from a technical standpoint, let's just go into that. So Jagat is Ishvara Srishti. This is what was designed by the Maker. But the design of the Maker is not problematic to me, should not be a problem to me. Where it turns into a problem is I turn the Jagat into a samsara. So I have a Jiva Srishti that I superimpose on top of the Jagat. That this Jagat is not very friendly to me, and that it was born on a particular day, it's going to die, all kinds of things, all these ways of looking at it, that there is terrorism in the world, there is problems, and so on and so forth, is not Ishvara Srishti. There is no problem. It's all taken care of. Everything is running very smoothly. And it will all come to a wonderful end for each one of us. Just stay with it. Is Ishvara Srishti. But no, I'm too impatient. I'm too involved with anytime, this is what happens in the TV in the morning, breaking news. So the TV, if there's no untimely deaths, no accidents, the TV will go out of business. So they actually thrive. I'm sure that early in the morning when the newscasters come on, they'll say, what shocking news should we give today? And if the people say, there's nothing going on, everything is going very smoothly. Say, really? Can't you find something somewhere? And say, there was a pedestrian killed yesterday or badly hit. Okay, let's bring it up. If there's nothing else, okay. Breaking news. So the breaking news and my being affected by it, this is why I say don't watch television. If you want to watch television, just watch some games. In fact, I was just this morning, my wife was watching TV while I was just getting ready and so on. And she was telling me, and I completely agree with it, she says, my favorite shows over the weekend are these animal shows where how the animals are born and protected by their parents, how they cross the street. And it's such a, NBC has it, I think was telling me, usually the KQED, the National Public Television gives all these, but NBC on Saturday mornings, and she just loves it. And in the bottom there it says a breaking news. Now you cannot not be affected by it. So this is called samsara. Anyway, just like a snake has no connection to the rope, similarly one day it will become clear to me that the entire samsara that I see has no connection to me. And the examples are given every night after you wake up from a dream. Every night. The dream just has some kind of an experience. Gone. No connection. You can't even remember the dream. This morning I do remember, I was waking up. I don't know why. I'm standing in a long queue which is very slow moving. And I'm observing the reactions of the other people around me. Some are upset, some are not. That was the dream I remember. I don't know how that was, but it was fascinating. Really. And it's so interesting that it makes you, what I'm really, and I wouldn't say enjoy, enjoying is also, what I'm enjoying really in a way, is that if I have a dream experience just before I wake up, because oftentimes you wake up in the middle of a deep sleep where the swapna was long gone, you don't remember it, but if you just wake up right after a dream, it's a very interesting, pleasant experience. Because, as we will see in much more detail from Swami Akhandananda's teaching on the Mandukya Upanishad, the two are very similar. And so, when I wake up, I really see, my God, just a moment ago I was waiting in a line and I was observing all the people waiting in the line just a minute ago, just less than that. And now I'm just lying in bed and just waiting to get out. That also I have my thoughts, what is going to happen today. I have a class today, I better do this, etc. Very similar. So, asangaha means that really speaking, this is the Atma. We have had so many experiences, and they leave a little bit of vasanas for me, some samskaras, but other than that, they're gone. I have no connection to them whatsoever. All the previous life, and so we've all had so many lives. Where is it gone? Same thing will happen here. You are very concerned about, okay, this is my spouse, this is my children, this is what it is, and so on and so forth. They'll wash away. Nothing will be left. And in the meantime, you are not really focusing on the Atma. Excuse me. So if there are things that have no consequence, no consequential relationship with you, should you worry about that? Because it's going to be gone. Swami Dayanand, I think Swami Chinmayanand used to say that. He says, you get on a train and somebody comes up and then you become friendly to them and say, how are you, or where are you, where are you going? Oh, you're going there, okay. Then you're sitting there. How many children do you have? What kind of work do you do? You become friendly. And then before you know it, your eyes are closed and the station comes and they're gone. And unless you recognize someone that was known to you and so on, you cannot, there's no reason to remember them. They're gone. Similarly, I think we have all had previous lives. They're gone. And same thing has happened here. It will just be gone. So instead of focusing on things that are going to be gone, why not focus on things that are important to you, which will stay with you, which is you, which is Ishvara, which is Brahman. Is it like you're not really paying any attention to what matters? You're paying attention to what doesn't matter, which is casual, which is just going to disappear. This is Brahma. This is stupidity. This is what he's saying here. If I were to, I just put some more thoughts into it, but he says, Evam atmanaha ahamartasya nirvikaratvam nityakutastha asanga chidrupata. So chidrupata means the one who is Chetana Swarupaha, Swayam Siddhaha, Swayam Jyotihi. It is you which is independently there. Shouldn't you be impressed by this? Should you not appreciate it? This is what is called, this is what is called the self-realized person. Oh, Swami Vivekananda was a self-realized person, Mahatma. All of us are Mahatmas. But we are not really focusing on the nirvikaratvam, asangachitvatvam, kutastham, chidrupata, that I am nityaha, sachatrupa. We are all it's the same, everybody is a Mahatma. But we don't understand it, that's all. So then understand it. What's keeping you? Oh, I'm very busy. I've got to do. That's the issue. You're so busy on things that are not going to stay with you, and you are too busy to understand what is going to be with you. What are you? the Mahima of the Atma is, so it is really all about internal growth. Really speaking, the whole thing is eligibility. You just have to improve your thinking, your attitudes, your focus, and so anyway, so let's go on with this. So he says, Tad etat paramarthikam tattvam. So this paramarthikam tattvam is, Swami Dayananji had given the name Swami Paramarthananda. So an ananda which comes from paramartha. Paramartha. So this paramarthikam, paramartha should be clear to us. The meaning of the word paramartha should be clear to. So there are 4 purusharthas, as you know very well. Purushartha means the one that we all seek in our lives, the one that we are naturally seeking in our lives, each one of us. This is called Purushartha. Purushena arthyate iti Purushartha. One which is sought by all human beings is called Purushartha. As you know this very well. So it's Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. So Artha means a security. I need some money, I need some security, I need some shelter, etc. is called Artha. And so that's the very first one, important one. And this is true for all beings, not just human beings, that they all need security. They want to just stay somewhere where they're secure. Then Kamaha. So Kamaha means that after you're secure, you want some pleasure, some fun. So Kamaha. Then comes Dharmaha. So Dharmaha means not only what you are now, but what will happen to you and what do you need to improve your future. I'm just quickly going through. It's not a complete picture. It's called Dharmaha. So all these are called Purushartha. So in a way, the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Dharma are like your ability to be well. Like for example, if you have some broken bones, then you need some help to support yourself. So this is what's called Artha. Then comes Moksha, which is Paramartha. Paramartha means it is not a simple Purushartha, it is Paramartha. So Parama Udaraha, as we saw in the earlier class. So Parama Udara means this is the best one. And what does that mean? Moksha means that I don't need any help to support myself. I don't need anything. I don't need any walking chairs, no nothing, no support. I am well, I'm independent. To remove all the dependencies. So Artha, Kama and Dharma are dependencies. Paramarthika Satyam means one which is independent. Svatasiddha. That's what it means. Tad etat paramarthikam tattvamiti patipadya. Having shown this, now comes the sangatihi between this one and number 21. Okay, so let's look at that. So he says, Idrisham atmatattvam viditavataha vidushaha. Means a wise person who understands this, who gets it. Because in the beginning you cannot do any viveka between Atma and Atma. It's all one mixed up thing. I'm a human being, that's all I know. I'm just going around talking, etc., etc. Then through the teaching, and he says, my dear, there are two aspects to yourself. One is the Atma which is not changing, and the other one is a covering that changes, but it is not you. It seems to cover you and make, the one is a person, the other one is a personality. And the personality comes and goes. It's kind of like wearing some costumes for a movie or a play. Yes, it becomes part of you. People look at you through your costume. But that's not you. You are what you are. And so this is the viveka. So once that viveka is done, you say, interesting. The one that comes and goes, I really have no connection to. My God, yes, it's true. And this is proven over and over again through swapnavastha, jagratavastha, taking one life, samskaras, etc., all those kinds of things. There's clues all over. But I missed the clues. But once the clues are specifically pointed out, then I say, okay, yes, I know. Now I know. Then what? This is where the connection is between verse number 20 and 21. So he says, in that case, if you are a wise person, idrisham atma tattvam viditavataha vidushaha. I won't go into the Sanskrit derivation of these words, but basically the one who knows this, knows what? Atmanaha nirvikaratvam nityakootastham etc. Pratipadya idrisham atma tattvam viditavataha vidushaha. Then what? Then comes the connection to verse number 21. Sarva karma sannyasaha eva adhikaraha. He says adhikaraha means that only that person has the right. That person has the appropriate nature. It is becoming of that. That's what one should do. Adhikaraha. So, it's just like supposing you were to apply for a college. Like my oldest granddaughter, Arya, is doing these days. She's getting ready to apply for colleges. And so now her adhikara for college is being questioned. Have you done this? Have you studied well? Have you gotten good marks? And she, in addition to her academics, is also a swimmer. So she wants, and she likes swimming a lot. So she's applying to those colleges that value her swimming. And there also she has to prove. She was just there at Colorado College just this last weekend and met with the swim coach. And the swim coach was trying to understand how her timings are for swimming. Is she good enough? And so all of that is called eligibility. So similarly here also is case adhikaraha. He says only the person who knows all of this thing has the adhikara, is eligible. For what? Sarva karma sannyasa. Sarva karma sannyasa means that you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. Sarva karma. anything. So this is where the topic will come out when we go into number 21 in a minute. Not in a minute, but eventually maybe some today and maybe next class. Sarva karma sannyasa. You do not need to do anything. So this is what is called kritakrityata. Kritakrityata means whatever needed to be done is done. You've finished it. You can retire now. Sannyasa is the ultimate retirement, actually. That's what it is. Many times these days, people are retiring only to find out that inflation has gone up, so they have to go back to work because they don't have enough money saved in, because now the prices have gone up. Is a big problem. And in fact, I just saw some news report a couple of days ago that this new law that has been passed of $1.7 trillion that has been passed by the Senate has a lot of new provisions for retirement savings, because they found that I would say a majority of the Americans do not save enough for their retirement. They have become in very bad shape. It just speaks to our culture and so on. And so they are not eligible for retirement. I mean, what happens is they end up in some places where not well kept off, etc., etc. So anyway, you're not eligible for retirement unless you've done everything. Then you say, you know what, I'm a grandparent, my children are taking care of it. Now it is my time to just relax and not do anything. So the sarva karma sannyasa means they don't have to do anything. And as you know, the sarva karma sannyasa would eventually mean, this is just the initial introduction, means you do not even need to do anything in your life, just be the Atma. It's not true. Right now, my body says, get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Go and have something to eat. I'm hungry. So you cannot say to the body, you are hungry, I am not hungry. You get up. No. You say, I am hungry. So the body's hunger presents to you as you are hungry. Not that the body is hungry. So you say, I need to get up. I need to do this. I need to do that. There will come a point where you will say, I don't need to do anything. So you will say, well, I will die if I don't eat anything. Die. That's okay. You are independent of death at that point. So the sarva karma sannyasa means complete freedom from karma. No necessity for, because our life is all is due to, I got to do this, I have to do this, I have to think about that. This will all come in the discussion in a minute. But here introducing this, he says that only a person who understands nirvikaratvam, nityakutastvam, etc. has the adhikara for sarva karma sannyasa. Na anyatra, not any other, not in anything else. You alone should be graduating now to this point. This is the connection. This is given in verse number 21, which we will take up next. So in 21 it says, Veda avinashinam nityam. Cha enam ajam avyayam. Having means known this, know this to be. This is pratipadya. Sarvakarma sanya, the nirvikaratvam nityakutashtham asangachid drupata etc. Pratipadya means that's the first line. Veda avinashinam nityam enam ajam avyayam. We saw all that in the previous one. Then he says the second line, so what should one do? So he says, Katham sa purushaha parthaha kam ghatayati kam hantikam. He says, what is that person going to do now? That kind of a person who knows that I am the Avinashinam, Nityam, etc. What is the reason for him to say I must kill? I must protect, I must do this, I must do this, I must do this, I should do this. Where's the need for it? Katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Anyway, so that will be now explained. So this is explained, and I'll briefly mention some Sanskrit. 10:14. So I think what I will do, this has a very detailed explanations which will take a long time. I think that what I will do is not really go through the entire one, but highlight some of the key things that I want to point out. So I think I'll do that. I think I can finish it today itself. Okay. So the first thing is, now that I've given you a kind of a background on the connection between number 20 and 21. So the first thing is, he says, so this is given in page 66, line number 4. So he says, Sarvatra kim shabdaha akshepa arthakaha eva bhavati. Natu prashnarthakaha prati udara darshanat. Right? This is interesting. To make a note of that. So he says, Sarvatra kim shabda akshepaka arthaha eva bhavati. So he says, kim shabdaha. Kim shabda means, what is this person supposed to do? Kam sapurusha partha. Kam ghatayati. How does he make someone injured? Hantikam. Who does he kill? So there is who, what, who, like that. This is called Kim Shabdaha. So what is the meaning of this Kim Shabdaha? So he says this is not a question. It's not like Krishna is saying, okay, can you tell me who you are going to kill? That's not, it's akshepa artha, means that what are you talking about? There's no question about it. It is not a question that needs an answer. That's why it says, let's look at this now that you see, this is how you should interpret it. Sarvatra kim shabdaha akshepaka arthaha eva bhavati. Natu prashnarthakaha. Why? Prati uttara adarshana. Here's a beautiful explanation. Prati uttara darshana means that there is no answer given here. It's not like if there is a question, supposing you have a question in saying, who are you going to harm? So the answer would be that person. I want to really harm him. There is no such answer here. It is only a question. So it's very clear. It's very obvious, but he makes it very clear that this kim shabdaha, kam ghatayati, hantikam, etc. is akshepartha, means what are you talking about? The question doesn't arise. If you understand what Atma is, this is the meaning of it. Okay, the next thing is a doubt. A doubt which occurs in 4, 5, 6, sentence number 7 on page 66. He says nanu. So nanu always starts means with a doubt or a objection. It depends on whether the doubt is very proactive or it is just. So the difference is that one is an objection by somebody who doesn't agree with all of this, like somebody outside of Vedanta, or it could be a student like you and I that are agreeing with the overall sense, but we have some doubts. So there's a difference between Shanka and an outright objection. Anyway, here you can do it either way. Nanu, he says, Nanu nirvikara brahma darshinaha katham hantikam ghatayati sadhanadi akshepena hanana kriyayaha eva nivrittihi atra suchyate natu sarvesham karmanam iti chet. Very interesting. Just look at this. He says, the person says, okay, I understand this is akshepartha. That much I get. But I think what Krishna is saying, he is making it very clear. If you go to number 21, he says, Katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. He says, all he's saying is the karma which is involved in harming someone, making someone injurious, or killing someone alone should be prohibited. The rest of the karma should be done, like watching television and going places. He's not talking about any of that. I mean, not television at that time, but whatever else you do, only the act of war, he's only focusing on that. But he's not saying other karma should not be done. What he's saying is, you're saying that sarva karma sannyasa eva adhikaraha is not tenable. Not sarva karma, only partial karma. Only the karma which is involved in killing is being prohibited. The rest of the karmas could be going on. So that's his question. So let me read it again and now it will become clear. He says, Nanu nirvikara brahma darshinaha, that one who is a knower of nirvikaratvam, katham hanti kam ghatayati iti sadhanat akshepena. So by doing this sadhana means that by means of communicating, here is called sadhana. So karmana ghatayati iti sadhana akshepena hanana kriyaha eva nivritti atra suchyate. He says only the hanana kriya is talked about, focused. Only the act of killing is done. Natu sarvesham karmanam iti chet. He says, what if we think it like this, that it is doing the act of, only prohibiting the act of killing, not any other karma. Why don't we take it that way? Why don't we take it that way? He says, no. This is not proper. Kriya matra hetoho tulyatvat. So this is the skill in doing the saddhi. So kriya matra hetoho tulyatvat. He says, no, I cannot accept your objection because all kriya alone are similar. Kriya matra hetoho, the cause of kriya matra means just the kriya. So the cause of just the kriya is the same. There is no difference. Yatra yatra tu avikriyatma jnanam tatra tatra na pravittihi iti nirvikara atma jnanasya pravitti matram prati nivritti hetutvat na hanana kriya matram prati hetutvam niyantum shakyam. He says, I'm sorry, if you take that objection, you don't understand the fullness of this argument. The fullness of the argument is that nirvikara atma cannot do anything. It is incapable of doing anything. This is the nirvikara atma. Because it is kind of like, you cannot have space cause pollution. You cannot say, you can say in this objection, you can say, all right, let's do this. I understand that the sky cannot create pollution, but the sky appears blue, which is not a pollution. What if we do it like that? That only the sky is not, space is not capable of creating pollution, but it can become blue. So he says, no, what are you talking about? You're creating a distinction between a bad space and a good space. Bad space is polluted space, like it is in New Delhi. Good space is every place else where it appears blue. You cannot make that distinction. The space cannot have any kind of a change to it. There is no possibility. So that's the argument. So he says, yatra yatra tu avikriya atma jnanam tatra tatra na pravittihi iti nirvikara atma jnanasya pravitti matram prati nivritti hetutvat na hanana kriya matram prati hetutvam niyantum shakyam. A bit more difficult to go through the grammar, so I won't go through that. But you understand the concept of what he's saying. Okay. Then one more thing I will do, and then I will, that's all I will do this in this class. So, let me see what I want to talk. Okay. So the next one is another objection. He says, okay, I understand what you're saying. Okay, let me bring up another point, he says. So this is given, this is a very long one, so I can only summarize it in the short time that we have. But let me do that. I think I'll finish doing it. So this is given on the bottom of towards the fourth line from the bottom of page 66. He says, Nanu न जायते म्रियते इति जन्मादि सर्व विक्रिया शून्यत्वं ब्रह्मणः उक्तम्. Okay, he says, I understand that the Atma is never born, never dies. शून्यत्वं ब्रह्मणः उक्तम्. अतः निर्विकारः ज्ञेयं ब्रह्म. So he says, Brahman is being talked about as something which is na jayate, na mriyate. Let it be known to be something that is an object of knowing. There is some Brahman which never is not jayate, na mriyate. Okay? I think I understand that. I can at least accept it. I may not understand it, but I accept there is a Brahman which is nirvikaratvam. So that's the meaning of the word. He says, Gyeyam Brahma. So Gyeyam Brahma means what is to be known. Okay, so that is Brahman. However, Gyata tu Vidwan Vikari इति उभयोः निर्विकारत्व सविकारत्व धर्माभ्यां परस्पर भिन्नत्वात् विकारिणः विदुषः तु अविक्रियत्व अज्ञानात् असंभवात् संन्यासः न उपपद्यते. So he says this is an important argument, and I'll just give you the overall part of it, and then maybe some more explanation in the next class. So he says, wait a second, I understand what you're talking about, nirvikaratvam, na jayate, mriyate, va, etc., what you're saying. But let that be that of Brahman. The Jnata, which is you and I, we are not nirvikaratvam. We are moving around, we are changing as our whole body is continuously changing and so on. So then there is a difference between known Brahma and the knower Jiva. Why don't we do it that way? So he says, then you have really not solved anything, because you are trying to become Brahman, but you are not Brahman. You are just a Jiva which is moving, etc., etc. So there is a difference between them. They are two entities. So I don't understand that. So I think the answer to that will take a little bit more time, and I will pause at that point. Anyway, I'll just give you the brief answer, and then we will see when we meet again. So he says, no. Didn't we say earlier that this is an akshepaha, this is an adhyasmika sambandha. This is an erroneous thing. That you are not Brahman is not a fact. That you are not nirvikaraha is an akshepaha. You are the very Brahman. So the two are really the same. It is just the non-understanding of the sambandha being due to of ignorance. Just like there is no real difference between a rope and a snake. They're really essentially the same, and if they appear to have a sambandha, it is adhyasika sambandha. It is an ignorant sambandha. Sambandha means a connection. There is an ignorant connection between a rope and a snake, not a real connection. There is no connection. They are the same. One is real, the other one is unreal. You cannot have a connection between, you can only have a connection between real and real, not between a real and unreal. What's the connection between you and your reflection in the mirror? There is no connection. You can say one is looks like me. You can just talk about that, but there is really no, it is not two people, it's only one person. So that argument will be given. So with that, what will be established in verse number 21 will be that if you understand the nirvikaratvam, asangatvam, kutastvam, chidrupata, etc., then you have sarva karma sannyasa is the adhikara. And he proves it by saying, who is he going to kill? What's going to happen? Nothing. You don't need to do anything. You're there. So that's how the discussion goes. I hope you are, I hope I'm communicating all this, my hope. Om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So just seeing the next few days, I will be here on Tuesday. So for the Tuesday night class, we will have it. But then I'm going to be traveling to India, and I'll be gone. Right now, I'm planning to go from Saturday to Saturday, but I'm trying to change it to go from Friday to Friday. So that people have told me that if I'm coming into New Delhi on the same morning as my sister's memorial service is being held, I'm taking too much of a chance because apparently because of the fog delays, sometimes the plane cannot land in New Delhi. You have to take it to some other city, which will be a problem for me. So that just convinced me. I talked to the travel agent to see if they can change it to Friday. In any case, if I'm back for, I believe, the 7th, which is a Saturday, then I will have a class. Otherwise, I'll have it on the 14th. So I'll let you know about that. You don't have to really remember any of that. So for the time being, the next class we will hold, which will be next year, either on the 7th or the 14th. Nice to see you all. Wonderful. Don't know, I don't see any questions from you. So all happy holidays to all of you. Hope you stay well. And I will see you when I get back. Hari Om.